Alright, Antis, so today we are jumping back into the very hard guild quest, continuing on this series of beating the very hard difficulty of guild quests, only using teams that consist of special move level 1 characters, showing that you don't need duplicates or max transcendent characters to beat this quite difficult quest to a certain extent. Now, currently we have access to the melee, Quincy, and Stamina guild quest, and obviously, as we do know, starting literally next week, the new schedule is separating the Quincy and Stamina guild quests. So to future-proof this video, even though we can bring Stamina killers, we are only going to focus on bringing Quincy killers. That therefore means we are making it harder than it actually is, because some of the better characters to use are Stamina killers, for example Ichigo. Also, as of right now, when it comes to Quincy Stamina killers, there are no Quincy killers, melee ones at that are no-attack damage characters. The free no-attack damage characters that you would use in a week like this, where there are Quincy and Stamina enemies, is characters like Tsukishima, Chad, and also Yamamoto, which again, if we're only strictly looking at melee Quincy killers, we can't bring them because they have Stamina killer. So one of the teams that I haven't tried yet, but I know it definitely beats it, is this team right here. Ichibe's stocks have definitely gone up with this Quincy Stamina split, because he's one of the best characters for the Quincy GQ, especially now when he isn't being compared to someone like, Ichigo, for example. So as you can see here, Ichibe is only special level 10. We have given him full stamina and also SP as bonus abilities. For the free accessories that we are using, it's a fortification pill, T-set, and also Masanga. With these 3 links, nothing special in particular, just recharge, strong attack damage, recharge, full stamina. And what you'll see here is that Ichibe is going to be our only character here to actually deal damage. He does enough damage anyway, we can actually allow him to do that. But the way we're going to increase his damage output is by using someone like Swimsuit Jushiro, who is replaceable with Fierce Battle Soifun. If you have either or, feel free to use anyone. I would recommend using Jushiro because they pair well together, mainly because Jushiro himself can actually apply weakening, which will then allow Ichibe to do more damage. Now, Jushiro has a no affiliation killer, so his damage output does not matter. That's why we give him like Golden Chappie, Golden Puppers. Very rarely do you ever use those, right? His build doesn't matter, right? We have at least get him recharge, because at least when he does use his strong attacks, there is the chance he can weaken, so we do want him to use the strong attacks. We just don't want him to die. But ultimately, the reason why he is here is because he does have increased technique strong attack damage by 20%. So he's buffing Ichibe's damage output by 20%. And then he also is increasing the amount of damage Ichibe can do, because he is a technique sniper to status afflicted enemies, in this case, weakening. So once we do apply weakening, we're going to be doing a ridiculous amount of damage. Aaroniero is just here for the support. Once more, her build does not matter. At the very least, make sure you give her full recharge so she can stack that boost. Because again, as always, best support in the game, right? Boost SA2, 43% attack and focus increase, and also running the barriers so our team can stay alive more consistently. And that also goes for Ichibe. If for some reason you don't have access to Soifun or Jushiro, what you can do is replace Jushiro with any Quincy killer that you can actually use. Someone like Chojo, for example, would actually work quite well here because he can do damage, and once when he also buffs Ichibe's damage output by 40%. So we'll actually try that after this. You could also put good or reliable Thousand Jibaru Yamamoto, or even the Quincy killer Lisa. These 3 are definitely characters that work very well as a main or even a lead. More so Yama as a main though. With that said though, that's the team setup. Let's jump into it. Alright, so for those that don't know how Ichibe does work, remember, his damage output is going to be on the lower side, but once the gauge does activate, we then do more damage. So then just use SA3 right there. That activates the gauge. As you can see, a lot of damage. The SA3 comes back in time. Let's do that into the 1 and then use our 2. When we can, we want to use our normal attacks, right? Let's sob him now though. That will apply weakened defense. To be fair, maybe I should have used my Sob him against the power boss in this case, because, now we're actually at our weakest, right? It's fine, though. The gauge already came back. Let's use our SA3. Completely missed that SA3. The enemy itself is way too far back, but we'll use this time to build up our gauge. We have plenty of time to spare. Again, I don't need to go for, the most perfect run. But I would probably recommend actually using your Sob him maybe on the 4th boss. But now we're in the 5th boss. Gauge is activated once more. And once we apply a weakening once more, we just do significantly more damage. So we could have already cleared faster if we just got lucky with the weakening proc. But there you go. Super simple run. First attempt. Nice and easy, right? Ichibe is an amazing character, especially in content like this where you can easily build up the gauge super fast. We got the gauge there like 3 times. And we cleared with 20 seconds to spare, potentially 30 seconds to spare if we optimize the run more. And that was only him at special level 1, and he's the only one there doing damage. That's how good supports are. Jushiro is letting us do 40% more damage to weakened enemies, 20% more strong attack damage, and Aaroniero was giving us the extra stats. If you have Ichibe, I think it's very likely you are going to clear the melee Quincy guild quests. Now for our last team, and I didn't mention it, Aaroniero in particular is replaceable with any team booster. As long as they have a boost and barrier, the barrier is not even that important, but as long as they have a boost, they're doing their role. So you don't need to really bring Aaroniero in that particular team. In this team though, when we are now using Chojuro, I would say Orihime is almost a must, because in this case, Chojuro actually can get inflicted with weakening. The status elements on this floor are weakening. I'm not sure if it's going to change over when it's just QUINCY enemies. If it does, it doesn't really matter all too much, because the main thing here is that this character is not immune to a status element. So if you are using Chojuro as a side, you're going to want to have Orihime in your team to give him that immunity. That would therefore allow him to do damage, but once more, the reason why we are now using him is because he fills the very similar role to someone like Jushiro and Soifon, where he's increasing our damage output by 40%, and also now we're getting 30% more damage on our soul bomb. He can apply paralysis, where we can then do more damage, because the paralysis itself will last like 8 seconds, where we can take full advantage of that extra 40% damage output that Chojuro is giving to us. But then remember, Chojuro now can actually do damage, so it's very important to actually build him properly. With a team like this, your accessories and also links might be spread thin. I was lucky enough to manage to bring these particular links. Good enough, right? Ichibei is still our good DPS. Chojuro's now a side DPS while also buffing Ichibei. And then now we're also still using Orihime, who's more important on this team given Chojuro's lack of weaken resistance. Or any resistance, of that matter. So let's see how this one does go, right? So it's going to be a very similar setup. Let's just use our SA2. Normal attacks when we can. Activate the gauge with the SA3. There we go. A bit notable damage decrease here, I will say. But I think we got lucky on our last run with the weakening procs, right? Because that makes a massive difference here. Again, when we can use our normal attacks, I believe in this case, Ryukin was actually paralyzed, so that's not too bad. I mean, in this case, paralysis doesn't actually hurt us. Kind of wasted my SA3 there, because I should have waited for the SA3 to activate the gauge. Might as well use the 2 here. In this case, this would be a situation where we want to use our soul bomb. It will apply the weakened defense, allowing us to do 30% more damage, which is probably needed against a boss where 2 characters have attribute disadvantage. And then make sure, as always, if you have a strong attack to follow up, that's the best thing you can do. Now, the gauge is already back, so we're going to use our SA3 like that. Then 1. Chojuro does the damage there. There we go. 27 seconds to spare. We should be absolutely golden. SA2 goes off into the 1. Again, back up. Use our normal attacks when we can. Looks like Candace is locked onto me. That's fine, though. We have plenty of time to spare. Once more, SA3 is back, but I don't want to use it until the gauge can activate. And then there we go, 11 seconds to spare. So that seems to be a tad bit slower compared to our previous run, even though Chojuro himself can do damage. But I think maybe it's a bit RNG reliant on whether you can apply status procs, weakening in this case, because weakening itself only lasts like 2 seconds in Guild Quest. So you have a very short time to take advantage of that weakening, where you then do what, like 90% more damage? So I think teams like this, their clear time can definitely fluctuate depending on how lucky you get with the status proc. But I mean, either way, our 2 first attempts, we beat it first go, didn't seem like we struggled that much. If anything, maybe you'd have to reattempt it once more. For our next strategy, though, we're doing something very similar. In this case, we are now using Yamamoto as our lead. He makes for a good lead, right? If there's anything, this character in a way has gotten better, because I know Yamamoto is more widely available when compared to Ichibei, a more newer and limited character. It's more likely you're going to have Yamamoto over Ichibei, right? Maybe even duped out. So Yamamoto is going to make this Guild Quest super easy. Tracking Vortex, good strong attack kit, no worries. Now what we are going to do is, again, same strategy, almost those same exact accessories. Links are going to be a mixture of recharge, full stamina, and also strong attack damage. Again, technically 1-5. Understand my soul bomb will hit a tad bit harder, but I have removed all his damage transcendent slots, so if anything, our strong attacks are hitting like a 1 out of 5 character. Our soul bomb, though, will be hitting a tad bit harder, but I don't think it's going to matter all too much. With that in mind, though, we've given him full stamina damage and also SP. And then for our second character, just to try it out, because I want to see if this does work, we have Mashiro, a Valentine's character. Now, the reason why we are using Mashiro is once more because she herself does have the extra 40% damage to any enemy that is afflicted with status element, and she does give that damage, and she does give that team buff to power attribute strikers, in this case Yamamoto. In a usual situation, you would just use a non-attack damage character here, but again, if we're only looking at melee QUINCY killers, that doesn't exist. Now, if you don't own someone like Mashiro, but you still want to go with this potential same setup, I guess the next best thing would be someone like Gin, although to a significantly lesser degree since it's only 20% instead of the 40%. Yamamoto can apply burn and also weakening, so at least if we don't take advantage of the weakening that is lasting 2 seconds, we will at least still be doing 40% more damage to the burned enemies. So we can definitely work with this. Let's see if it does work, though. Quite confident it can. Alright, then, so see how this does go. We're going to go up here, use our SA2. Use our SA1 to help apply the SP boost. What we want to do here is make sure we always have a strong attack when we apply the weakening, right? Because we do most of our damage here. Now, sometimes it's hard to notice. Paying attention to the enemy's HP bar, and when you notice they start taking more damage, is probably the time to actually use a strong attack. But like now, for example, is a great time. Once you reapply the SP boost, that's the best time to notice it, right? What we're going to do here is use our summon into the 2, might as well. The SP boost is about to wear off soon, but that's fine. We'll let it go off. I don't have to use my SA1 just yet. Might as well use it now. SA2 comes back in time for Uryu. Hopefully we can apply the weakening on Uryu. Think we did it just there. I believe that actually worked in our favor. Now, unfortunately, with this team, it doesn't work too well, and it does actually take a few attempts to actually get this because we have 2 characters here that can apply paralysis, right? That doesn't help us out. So we need to get lucky on the weakening proc here, which does... Okay, we actually activated it there. It's going to come down to the last second. Let's try and make sure that Mashiro doesn't have too many opportunities to start using their attacks. We reapply the SP boost. That's actually good. SA3. And into the 1. There we go. We got lucky. It's a very wonky team. I think maybe me having a max transcended Yama damage on the Sobom helped us out there. So I don't want to say for certain this team can beat it. But I also will admit, this took me like 5 attempts to do. Mashiro being in our team helps us out. Of course, she does give us the 40% damage, which is great, but she can also apply paralysis, and so can Orihime. So it's a very wonky team, because if they apply a status augment, it stops Yama from getting a status augment, right? You can't apply weakening and burn once the enemy is paralyzed. I really should know, at this point, I should probably test it myself. If Mashiro dies, do we still get the 40% damage buff? Because if we do, it's better off just to not give any accessories and links to Mashiro and just let her die. Likewise, Maid Orihime doesn't entirely need to be there, just a team booster. One without barriers might even help you out, just to get Mashiro to die quicker, because that way she won't be able to apply paralysis and therefore ruin the run. It's definitely RNG dependent though, whether you get lucky on a status proc, because you really do need to have a strong attack to follow up once you do apply the weakening and also burn. For our final team though, there isn't that many characters that I would recommend using when it comes to the melee QUINCY killers, right? So assuming you do have access to Yamamoto, and assuming you don't have a good team support like Mashiro, or maybe that team isn't working for you, maybe at this point it's just best to bring someone like Lisa, a premium character, who at least can do some damage, right? This GQ will definitely become a lot easier once we get access to a no attack damage character, because that's what this does lack, right? Usually, a good SP character like Yama, a good team booster like Orihime, and a good normal attack damage character is all you need to beat any very hard guild quest. But when you don't have access to that normal attack damage character, it does make it a bit tough. So I guess in this case, what we are going to do here is use Lisa as our second additional DPS character, and with that we are giving her these 3 accessories, these 3 particular links. Now again, unfortunately I can't remove her transcendent slot. This 6th slot in particular is 1000 additional focus. If it was 500 SP, I'd be able to remove her level 10 SP slot, and she would therefore be performing like a 1-5 character. In her case, she's technically performing like a 2-5 character, because right now she has 1000 additional focus and 500 additional SP. Given her premium status, I would like to think most people have a 2-5 at least, and it's definitely worth working on her if this team does work, right? So full stamina and also SP are the bonus abilities. Let's jump into it. So jumping into the run, what we are going to do is instantly use our SA2 into the 1 and then follow up with the 3. It looks like we did get lucky with status proc. Likewise with Lisa 2, she appears to applied some type of SP boost, right? Or status augment so she could get the SP boost, which I think is actually working out in our favor here. Looks like she applied a status augment again. Doesn't seem to do too bad when she does apply a status augment. Doesn't seem like it ruins the run for the most part. Let's someone now on Basby into the 1. Might as well use our 2 just to finish up this boss as quick as possible. Although we could wait a few extra seconds so we don't go into the next boss with the SP boost about to wear off. So I don't want to use my SA3 just yet. Might as well use the 2 now. Look at that, perfect timing. SP boost came back right as we used our SA2. Might as well use the SA2 again. Why not? I think we have 26 seconds to spare. I mean, 23 now. Plenty of time. I think we applied a status augment. At least Lisa did, right? Gonna use my SA2 in a few seconds. Now, when okay, looks like she applied a status augment again. That kind of ruins the run potentially, you know. Hold on. SA1. Into the 3. Into 2. Come on. Lisa, do damage. Oh my god. At least we beat it. It's super RNG, I would say. These are definitely the best teams with Yama. Yama would be fine if we had a Nat character. Since we're forcing to use like 2 SP characters that are like fighting each other with status augments, it does make for a very wonky team, I will be honest. You'll see there, we run into the final boss with like 20 seconds to spare, and that would have been absolutely enough time for us to get through the final boss. But then Lisa had to apply like 3 status augments back to back to back, and it kind of ruined all our DPS here, because Yama is of course our main damage dealer. But with that said, lads, that was the video for today, going over the QUINCY melee guild quest. Again, we can bring stun riches right now, so it's a lot easier. But going forward into the future, it will be melee QUINCY only, and therefore you can only bring melee QUINCY killers, right? I think if you have access to Ichibei, super easy. He's an amazing character for guild quest. If you have him at 1-5, even with like worse supports, worse teams than I used today. As long as each base builds up, you should be absolutely golden. Yamamoto, given his age, definitely does require that extra character, but if you have him at level 10 SP, level 10 focus, maybe max transcended, it's also going to be super easy. As already stated, the most awkward part about the melee QUINCY Gilchrist is that there is no melee normal attack damage character, so therefore you are forced to bring 2 SP characters which don't really work well together, as we saw here with Lisa and also Mashiro. It seems like it's still somewhat beatable, but it's definitely not the best ideal teams. If your Lisa's max transcended though, given her premium status, it definitely will become a lot easier. She actually maybe would make for a decent lead, especially once more if we had access to a normal attack damage character. I think this Gilchrist is definitely going to get easier over time. It's definitely beatable though, and the 4 teams that we introduced today at least beat it at 1 out of 5 with some potential asterisks on Yamamoto's plays. Because again, his Soul Bomb is hitting like a max transcended character. At least one without his extra transcendent slots, right? But either way, hope this video was able to help you out. I'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace.